The Junior Thunderlord, a Chinese folktale.
Once upon a time, in a quiet and peaceful village in China, there lived a gentle little boy named Yue.
Yue had a kind heart, but learning was not easy for him. While other children quickly understood their lessons, Yue often struggled. His teacher would sometimes grow impatient and scold him, and Yue would lower his head, feeling small and discouraged. But among all the children, there was one boy who saw Yue differently. His name was Xia, the smartest boy in the class, yet also the kindest. One day, Xia sat beside Yue and said softly, "Don't be sad. Those who are strong should always help those who struggle." Those simple words warmed Yue's heart like sunlight on a cold morning, and from that day on, he never forgot them. Years passed and Yue grew into a hard-working merchant. Though he was no longer a little boy, his heart remained just as kind. Wherever he went, he helped those in need, just as Xia had once helped him. But then, something terrible happened. The rain stopped falling, not for a day, not for a week, but for 3 long, painful years. The rivers dried into cracked earth, the fields turned brown and lifeless, and the crops withered under the harsh sun. There was nothing left to harvest and nothing left to trade. He looked at his village with a heavy heart. "I must go," he said quietly. "I will find a way to help us." With a final embrace, he said farewell to his family and set off toward the south, carrying both his goods and his hope. After traveling across mountains and dusty roads, through towns both big and small, Yue finally reached a strange and wondrous place called Thunder County. It stood on a rocky peninsula where the sea roared endlessly, crashing and booming against the land like a restless giant. But even louder than the sea was something else. Boom, boom, boom! In the heart of the town, a great crowd had gathered. Men pulled a cart filled with large drums tied together, beating them with such force that their thunderous rhythm drowned out the ocean itself. Curious, Yue carefully squeezed through the busy streets until he reached a small, bustling inn. Catching his breath, he asked the innkeeper, "What is all this noise? What is happening here?" The innkeeper smiled knowingly and said, "Today we honor the Thunderlords. With their mighty stone axes, they create thunder in the skies and help the great dragons bring rain to the earth." He leaned closer and added, "If you look closely, you can even find tiny stone chips left behind as they shape their magical axes." Yue listened in wonder, his heart beginning to fill with something he had not felt in a long time. Hope. Yue had barely settled down and ordered a bowl of warm noodles when, thud! The door swung open and in lumbered a huge, scowling man. He dropped heavily onto the bench beside Yue, making it creak under his weight. The man was enormous, so big and shaggy that he looked almost like a bear squeezed into clothes too small for him. He wore a rough blue coat, bright red trousers, and a wild leopard skin sash tied around his waist. The innkeeper quickly leaned in and whispered, "Don't mind him, sir. People call him Bearface. He's as simple as he is big. He doesn't understand money or manners. If you ignore him, he'll go away soon." Yue glanced at the man. For a moment, he remembered Xia's gentle words from long ago. Those at the top should help those at the bottom. Yue smiled softly. "If my friend had ignored me like that," he said, "I might never have learned anything at all." Then he turned to the innkeeper. "Please bring a bowl of noodles for him as well." When the food arrived, Bearface didn't wait. He plunged his hands straight into the bowl and began stuffing noodles into his mouth, slurping and gulping without pause. The innkeeper frowned in disgust. "That's terrible. Where are your manners? Use your chopsticks." But Bearface paid no attention. He ate as if he hadn't seen food in days, mouthful after mouthful, without stopping. Yue watched quietly, his eyes filled with compassion. "Ah, poor fellow," he said gently. "He eats like this because he has been hungry for too long." Then he added, "Please, bring him another bowl." The innkeeper shook his head and muttered, "You are too kind. That man won't even thank you." And indeed, when Bearface finished his second bowl, he slammed it loudly onto the table. Bang! "More!" he demanded gruffly. But Yue did not feel anger, only kindness. Yue's heart filled with compassion as he watched Bearface eat. Bring him more, Yu said gently. A full meal, as much as he needs. Soon the table was covered with food. A whole shoulder of roasted pork, steaming dumplings, rich and fragrant. Bareface devoured it all. He ate as if he were feeding the hunger of many days. No, number of years. At last, when he had eaten enough for 6 men, he leaned forward and grabbed Yue with a large, greasy hand, pulling him close, nose to nose. I haven't had a meal like that in almost 3 years, he said, his voice softer now. In all my wandering, you are the only one who has been kind to me. Yue blinked, a little startled, and stammered. Think nothing of it. When you are at the top, you must help those at the bottom. The big man paused, thinking deeply. Then, burp! He let out a loud belch and nodded. How true, he said, and I can see it written on your face. You are in danger, so I will go with you. That was the last thing Yue wanted. Oh, no, that won't be necessary, Yue said quickly. You can stay here. But Bareface only shook his head, and from that moment on, he followed Yue everywhere. Through the streets, past the markets, down every road. Step, stomp, step, stomp. By late afternoon, Yue sighed in frustration. When he reached the busy docks, he turned around and said, You have wasted your time. I am leaving on the next boat. Bareface replied calmly, Then I will sail with you. And just like that, he climbed aboard. The crew tried to stop him. They pushed. They shouted, but the giant would not budge. In the end, Yue had no choice but to pay his fare. This is the last time I spend money on you, Yue muttered, shaking his head. The ship had barely left sight of land when the sky darkened. Boom! Crash! A violent storm rose from the sea. Waves towered over the ship. Wind howled. And in a single terrifying moment, the ship capsized. People screamed as they were thrown into the cold, dark water. Yue struggled, sinking deeper, his strength fading. This is the end, he thought. But suddenly, a powerful hand seized him. He was lifted onto a broad, hairy back. It was Bareface. Strong and steady, the giant swam through the raging waves, cutting through the storm as if it were nothing. One by one, he rescued the others, carrying them safely to shore. And when everyone else was safe, he turned back into the sea to retrieve Yue's scattered goods. On the quiet beach, Yue approached him, overwhelmed. Thank you, he began, his voice full of gratitude. But Bareface simply waved his hand. We are even now, he said calmly. He turned, ready to leave. Yue quickly grabbed his arm. Please don't go, he said earnestly. You saved my life. The great man looked surprised. Think of how it will look, he said. I have already spent too much time with you. But Yue shook his head firmly. I don't care, he said. They can call me foolish if they want. You are my friend. And for the first time, the fierce, bear-like man smiled. When Bareface smiled, it was not a gentle smile, nor a soft one. It was fierce and wild, like a storm hidden behind his face. If he had met him before, Yue might have run away in fear. But now, he knew the truth behind that frightening face. So Yue smiled back. The two continued their journey together, walking side by side across long roads and distant lands. In time, Yue sold all his goods, and at last they began their journey home. But as they drew closer to Yue's village, his heart grew heavy. The wells were dry, filled only with dust. The plants looked like burned whiskers, brittle and lifeless. The trees stood like thin, empty sticks reaching toward a silent sky. Not a drop of rain had touched the land. Bareface wiped the sweat from his brow and growled, This is terrible. What a mess they've made of things. Yue sighed deeply, fanning himself in the dry heat. I know, he said softly, but what can we do? Bareface grew quiet. Then he spoke slowly, as if remembering something important. Those at the top should always help those at the bottom. Yue looked at him, surprised. Suddenly, Bareface lifted his head and gazed up at the empty sky. His voice thundered as he called out, Come, brothers, my time is done. At once, the air changed. Far on the horizon, dark clouds began to gather. They rolled and swirled, rushing toward them like great beasts in the sky. Yui gasped. Bareface spread his arms wide and shouted, "Over here, brothers!" The sky answered, "Rumble! Boom!" Thunder echoed across the heavens, and before Yue's eyes, Bareface began to change. His hands became powerful paws tipped with glowing golden claws. His feet transformed the same. His body seemed to grow with the strength of the storm itself. Yue stepped back in awe. Who are you?" he whispered. The great figure turned to him, his voice deep as thunder. "I am Bareface, a junior Thunder Lord." In an instant, a massive black stone axe appeared in his hand, and a band of small drums stretched across his shoulders. His presence filled the air with power. "You mortals thought me a fool," he said, "because I did not know your ways. But tell me, how would you survive in my sky world?" Yue dropped to his knees, overwhelmed. "Forgive me, my lord," he said humbly. "I did not know." But Bareface's fierce expression softened. "And yet, I am still your friend." With a joyful shout, he raised his axe and struck the drums. Boom! 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 The sound exploded across the village. Thunder roared, roofs rattled, the earth trembled beneath its power. Yui looked up in wonder. "My lord, what are you doing here on earth?" Bareface laughed, the sound rolling like distant thunder. "I spoke my mind to a proud dragon," he said. "Unfortunately, he was a king." He shook his head with a grin. "So I was sent here as punishment, to live among humans for 3 years. But now," his eyes gleamed with power, "my time is over." He struck the drums again, faster and louder than before. The sky darkened. Storm clouds gathered thick and heavy overhead. Thunder crashed through the village. Not in anger, but as a promise. The rain was finally coming. In a flash of lightning, Bareface's rough, leathery vest shimmered and transformed into a pair of vast, powerful blue wings, stretching wide across the sky. He looked down at Yue with a fierce, joyful grin. "Now," he said, his voice rumbling like distant thunder, "let me show you what it truly means to be on top." Before Yue could speak, Bareface wrapped him safely in his arms, and with a mighty beat of his wings, whoosh, they soared into the sky. Higher and higher, straight into the heart of the storm. Up above the world, the sky was alive. Dragons glided through the clouds, their long bodies weaving through flashes of lightning. Mighty beings like Bareface rode the winds, guiding the storm with booming cracks of thunder. The clouds themselves moved like great dark water buffalo, slow, heavy, and powerful, rolling across the sky. As soon as they saw Bareface, the creatures called out joyfully, swirling around him in greeting. Bareface frowned slightly and shook his head. "I leave for a little while," he scolded them, "and everything falls into chaos below. Look at the mess on earth." Then with a firm motion, he guided one great cloud aside. Turning to Yue, he said gently, "Come, my friend, push the side of the cloud." Yue hesitated, then reached out. The cloud felt soft and spongy beneath his hands as he pressed it. Rain began to fall, at first just a few drops, then more and more. Bareface chuckled. "You can aim better than that." Far below, the world looked tiny, no bigger than scattered beans upon the earth. But Yue searched carefully, and there, he found his village. With all his heart, he gently squeezed the cloud, guiding every drop of rain toward his home. The dry wells filled, the fields came alive, the trees drank deeply once more. Life returned. When the clouds were empty, Bareface grew quiet. "It is time," he said softly. From his waist, he untied his leopard skin sash and handed one end to Yue. "Hold tight!" The wind rushed past Yue's ears as Bareface slowly lowered him down through the sky. The clouds drifted away. The rain continued to fall, and then Yue felt solid ground beneath his feet. He was home. All around him, the village had transformed. Streams sparkled with fresh water. Ponds were full and shining. Fields stretched green and alive under the gentle rain. As Yue stood in wonder, he heard a familiar voice. Yue! His wife ran toward him, smiling with joy. From that day on, the village never lacked rain again, and whenever the sky thundered the loudest, boom! Yue and his wife would step outside, look up at the clouds, and wave, because they knew their friend was still there. So next time you see someone others ignore, be kind, because you never know who they truly are. Moral of the story: kindness is never wasted. Even a small act of compassion can change lives. And sometimes it brings magic back into the world. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video. Till then, take care and be kind and happy.